This is WLOX News Now at 6. Your news for South Mississippi starts now.
Right now, strong storms rolling across South Mississippi. Northeastern Harrison County now under a severe thunderstorm warning. Take a look here. This is a live look from our WLOX storm tracker in front of Edgewater Mall in Biloxi. You see those dark clouds moving to the south right now. And let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Eric Johnson for the latest on this storm system.
Yeah, we're watching big storms blow up across South Mississippi this afternoon thanks to that daytime heating and extreme heat that we've had today. And of course, the storm tracker located about right here on the leading edge of those showers and storms. The orange box here, that's a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 6:30. That means isolated damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour will be possible within that thunderstorm. And also we're seeing the potential for some hail with this storm. In fact, looking at the radar indicated hail product on the radar just to the east of Wortham and east of Highway 49 along Tradition Parkway, we're starting to see on radar that maybe a hail core is trying to develop. Also seeing another small hail core trying to develop just to the west of Cedar Lake north of I-10. Here's a look at how the heavy rain that is falling now pushing south of Highway 67, and it is now pushing south or right over I-10 around Cedar Lake, over Wool Market, moving into D'Iberville, St. Martin, and also moving into the Ocean Springs area. Success area looks like the most significant part of the storm is now just to your south and back building over Wortham, Lyman, and Lizana. We're seeing some of those heavier storms. Ocean Springs getting in on the action, although it looks like perhaps the heaviest activity right over the bay and developing right over downtown Biloxi and the I-110 bridge. It looks like Pops Ferry Road now starting to see a lot of the heavy rain and strong gusty winds with this. Gulf Park Estates, big storm blowing up right on top of you and now showing signs of dissipating, at least at the moment. Watching these other storms over into Hancock County and also western Harrison County, right over Dido and over into just north of Diamond Head. We're watching these storms all pushing to the south, anywhere from 10 to 15 miles per hour, all part of some bigger storms just to the north as well. We're going to keep an eye on those. Here's what it looks like on our Tower Cam IP Casinos One Spot Tower Cam. Torrential rain. That is the I-110 bridge. Can't see it because of the heavy rain. Beau Rivage Tower Cam. Looking over towards downtown Biloxi, those heavy downpours are beginning. We're going to watch these storms. We'll have much more of the forecast coming up in just a little bit.
What prosecutors call a history of violent attacks outlined today in the first-degree murder trial of Pitapong Dangbunga. Mackenzie Martin is just back from the courtroom in Biloxi and joins us now with the latest details on today's testimony.
Yeah, thanks, Hugh. Prosecutors today took jurors through the gruesome details of how Jamie Boggs was killed 2 years ago inside her own apartment on Rodenburg Avenue. They say she died at the hand of her roommate, Pitapong Dangbunga. This morning, the jury saw photos of the bloody crime scene. This afternoon, prosecutors took the jury back to 2015 when Dangbunga was charged with trying to kill another woman. A Jones County Sheriff's investigator described responding to a domestic incident between Dangbunga and Christina Crawford. The investigator said Dangbunga was, quote, covered head to toe in blood that day, and he said Crawford's face had been mauled. Though charged with attempted murder in that case, Dangbunga pleaded guilty to aggravated domestic assault. Prosecutors pointed to that 2015 crime as a pattern of violence as they rested their case. The defense has been arguing Dangbunga killed Boggs in self-defense. The jury will return to court tomorrow morning to hear details of that defense.
Mackenzie, thank you. Youth baseball and soccer in George County is so popular, the city of Lucedale passed a restaurant and hotel tax to fund its parks program. The referendum passing last night. Noah Noble joins us live from Lucedale with the details.
Yeah, Pennies for Parks is the name of the program that Lucedale residents voted on and approved last night to dedicate an increase in sales tax of restaurant and hotels to fund parks and ball fields. The dire need for more land to accommodate the growing youth sports program comes as more and more people seem to move out here to the country.
Until we get some more fields, we are going to run out of space for kids. This last year we had over 430 kids sign up, and then we cut the numbers back.
Billy Anderson is Lucedale's Little League baseball director. Over the last few years, he's watched the youth sports program push the limits of what the current facilities can offer.
We all play in one complex, but the soccer plays down the hill, we play up the hill. That's kind of how we describe it. But with the county growing, I mean, we are at capacity, and we both could use each other's fields to continue to grow.
We just finished up our fall registration. We've got close to 400 kids that have signed up for soccer.
Clay Wedgeworth plays down the hill, as Anderson puts it. He's the George Greene County Soccer Association president.
You have to work with each other and find out when you're going to practice, when I'm going to practice, and that stuff. And Saturdays, it is from dawn to dusk, all day, but the kids enjoy it.
The soccer fields will soon move to this 12 acres of land donated to the city of Lucedale. The Pennies for Parks program won't fund the $1 million project, but it will maintain it and the expansions to come.
If we can get those built, then we'll come back to those where the soccer is now and use those fields to build some more baseball and softball fields and also put a Pee Wee football field in.
Lucedale's Ward 4 Alderman Al Jones, or better known as Coach Jones, spent 30 years of his life helping foster a passion for sports in kids. This project means a lot to him, and while it won't happen overnight,
the old saying is, how you eat elephant? One bite at a time. So we're taking our first bite, and we're going to keep chewing on it and keep working on it until we can get to, to accommodate for these young people. That's they're only young one time in life.
Restaurant sales in Lucedale will see a 1% tax increase, and money spent on hotels will see a 3% tax increase. Now, George County residents are expected to vote on the same referendum in November as both city and county work together to foster this passion in kids for youth sports. Live in Lucedale, I'm Noah Noble for WLOX News Now.
Today, the Gulfport City Council voted to adopt its 2024 action plan for money from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Parker Boyd is in studio now with what this means for Gulfport.
Well, Hugh, Gulfport is set to use $1.2 million of community development block grants to make improvements in low-income areas of the city. The council chamber was crowded today as residents listened to council members discuss the details of where this money will go. The city will spend $350,000 building sidewalks, infrastructure, and recreational improvements. Ward 3 Councilwoman Ella Holmes-Hines says her ward has longed for housing repairs and drainage improvements.
Going forward, we still have to be extremely diligent because we have to do those substantial agreements to get it done where Ward 3 will have the change that said that zero is unacceptable, that we're going to go forward and do it where we used to always just do our 50-50 and keep going.
Whether it's sidewalk improvements, infrastructure improvements, creating athletic fields for kids. These are the longer term projects. It takes years to build them and it takes years to fund them. So my proposal was to use this year and other years and combine and with other partners to make improvements across the city.
Now today's vote followed public hearings and written input from citizens. Now the City Hall will finalize paperwork with the HUD so it can get to work on the projects. But right now, there's no timetable on when the infrastructure work will begin. Hugh.
Parker, thank you. Happening in Ocean Springs, a new historical marker was installed outside the Land in Train Depot. This is the third designated Mississippi landmark in Ocean Springs. Destiny Polster takes us to today's unveiling ceremony.
The L&N Train Depot is a historically rich building visitors and residents can find in downtown Ocean Springs. If you don't know it as the depot, you may know it as the building that's home to the Chamber of Commerce, the Visitor Center, and Realizations.
So this depot is actually kind of like the Welcome Center. It isn't kind of, it is the Welcome Center. We house the Ocean Springs Visitor Center in it. So it's the start of downtown. So it is what everyone sees first.
It was 1965 when the depot was decommissioned. Even after the railroad discontinued services on the Gulf Coast, the building has stood strong in the city for nearly 12 decades now.
The Mississippi Department of Archives and History uses the historical marker program to highlight local history. So we're thrilled to be in Ocean Springs and bring attention to the historic building, which is the depot here in Ocean Springs.
Brother Rogers with the Department of Archives and History says now future generations will be able to identify that the building is part of the city's heritage.
The thing that I like about a historical marker is that it's going to be permanent. So it's going to be here long after all of us are gone, and people can see that the L&O Depot is an important cultural resource on the Gulf Coast.
At the unveiling today, Mayor Kenny Holloway and representatives from CSX Transportation and Congressman Mike Ezel's office. In Ocean Springs, Destiny Polster, WLOX News Now.
And Cynthia Sutton with the city says the L&N train depot was actually the first building designated as a historical landmark for the National Registry for Ocean Springs. The South Mississippi community teaming up to help St. Jude with a major step taken today as ground is broken for next year's Dream Home. We'll bring you a preview of what's being built. Plus, Mississippi leaders challenging a federal voter registration order. The reason behind this lawsuit next.
You're watching the news for South Mississippi. This is WLOX News Now at 6.
Sponsored exclusively in high definition by Chevron Pascagoula Refinery, the human energy company.
It's that time again. We're getting prepared for the next St. Jude Dream Home. This 4-bed, 2-bath home will be located in the Florence Gardens community of Gulfport. Despite the heat today, many people came out to break ground. Anthony Thompson from Clark Builders says they are super excited to turn this dream home into a reality. We're told tickets are expected to go on sale by early 2025. Not everyone is on board with a federal effort to increase voter registration. Mississippi and 8 other states are now suing over those plans. Secretary of State Michael Watson first voicing his concerns nearly 2 years ago and is now doubling down. Courtney Ann Jackson explains.
It isn't a question of do we want people to register to vote? Absolutely.
Secretary of State Michael Watson says while there are partnerships for voter registration in place with federal agencies, he says those are typically initiated by the states, not the federal government. And that's among the reasons he thinks the executive order from 2021 is a problem.
This was back-ended. This went around the law, and that's what happened with the EO in general. Number one, it's illegal, but number two, the way they implement it was also illegal.
Watson's office started filing Freedom of Information requests, and he says what they found raised more questions for him about the intentions and the involvement of what he describes as left-leaning organizations.
Some more guidance in Florida, where it basically said, by the way, prisons, it's not your job to determine who's eligible to vote. Well, if that's the case, then let's just give everybody a voter registration file or forms. And it may be illegal immigrants. It may be somebody in Mississippi with a felony that's disenfranchising.
One Voice is a group that helps with voter registration efforts in the state, and they say they're disappointed in the suit.
I think that this lawsuit is a distraction. It's a way to move away from the point of making sure that people are able to participate in the voting process. And the fact is that Mississippi is way behind in terms of our voting rights here. And if we focused on that, Mississippi would be way better off as a state than we are now.
Executive Director Nashambi Lambright says she doesn't see the problem with the order.
I mean, that's the role of a federal governmental agency, to help the people. And I think that's exactly what they should be doing.
The Secretary of State Watson also says for those who question the timing of this lawsuit, that's fair. He explains it took time to properly build the case to take it from a letter of concern to a lawsuit with facts to back that up. And we are continuing to follow these strong storms in South Mississippi. And let me send it back to meteorologist Eric Johnson.
Yeah, we're tracking these big storms blowing up across South Mississippi. We're going to have the latest on the forecast coming up right after the break. But first, here's a look at what you can expect over the water tomorrow.
Now, WLOX First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Eric Johnson.
All right, this is a live look from our WLOX First Alert Storm Tracker. This is looking off towards the west on Highway 90 in front of the Edgewater Mall, looking towards Gulfport. And you can see those dramatic skies as that shelf cloud just crossed Highway 90, and now we're looking now underneath it. Let's switch over to the weather wall and take a look at what it looks like in Gulfport right now. It's a little hard to see, but we have white caps over the sound right now as the outflow, the rain-cooled air is rushing out ahead of these thunderstorms. Some very strong gusty winds with this. IP Casino is one spot, Tower Cam in Biloxi, looking off towards the west as well over Back Bay. You can hardly see Back Bay because of the heavy rain. Beau Rivage Tower Cam looking over downtown Biloxi, can barely see downtown Biloxi with those torrential downpours. Got this video in from Van Cleve by Willie on the WLOX weather app. If you look really close, we have a big tree that was fallen there from the high winds this afternoon with those storms. They started to become severe right over central Jackson County, right over Van Cleve. Now that complex of storms is now propagating off towards the south and west, with the heaviest activity now leaving out of Jackson County and pretty much right over central and southeastern portions of Harrison County. A little bit closer look over towards Cedar Lake, D'Iberville, Pops Ferry Road, the St. Martin. Let's just go over towards Lorain, and also Wool Market, seeing very heavy rain, strong gusty winds with this storm. Also seeing some very small hail in some spots as well. Looks like a new storm has developed just south of Wortham, right on top of you in Lyman and Lizana. Seeing some very heavy rain and strong gusty winds over towards Ocean Springs. Things are beginning to improve for you as the heaviest activity now pushing just off the coast of Biloxi, and even over towards Gulf Park Estates in Jackson County. Things are improving. Over towards Lizana and Dido, and also looking at areas just north of Diamond Head around the Kill, seeing those storms back building. In general, they're moving off towards the south and west, producing lots of lightning. At one point, they were producing over 400 lightning strikes in just 15 minutes or so. So tremendous amount of energy this afternoon. Our heat index numbers climbed into the triple digits, above 115 at times, and also lots of moisture. And we have some upper level disturbances that are riding through the jet stream, aiding in the development of these thunderstorms. We tied a record today with the heat. 98 was a high temperature at the airport in Gulfport today. 98 was a record set just 1 year ago today. Moss Point at Trent Lott, we hit 101. That breaks the old record set, just on this day last year, of 99 degrees. Rain chances are going to stay elevated throughout the next couple of days. We could see a pattern like this going into Thursday, Friday, and possibly into Saturday as well. Here's what it looks like on Futurecast. Notice as we go into tomorrow afternoon, pop-up showers and thunderstorms. A few of those could be on the heavy side. They may be capable of some strong downburst winds and small hail. Same thing as we go into the Friday afternoon time frame, scattered showers and thunderstorms. Not everybody gets one, but if you get caught up underneath one, it's going to put down some strong winds, some heavy rain, and not to mention a break from the heat. Lows tomorrow in the upper 70s, highs tomorrow upper 90s to low 100s. Quick update on the tropics. We're tracking Hurricane Ernesto. Not a concern for us here in South Mississippi as it curves up towards Bermuda. Could impact Bermuda as a major hurricane, and then curving up towards the North Atlantic. Of course, we're going to watch it very closely. Looking outside again on the IP Casino Zone Spot Tower Cam in Biloxi, looking pretty stormy. 7-day forecast, it looks like this again. Over the next few days, looking very hot and humid with hit and miss storms possible.
Looking ahead, a South Mississippi family is honoring a loved one by helping to save lives. Tomorrow, a blood drive is being held at the Big Level Community Center in Wiggins in honor of Gene Williams. You can stop by to donate blood between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. If you're unable to make it but still want to help, you can go to redcrossblood.org to see when a blood drive is happening in your community. Taking a look outside right now, stormy skies above. We'll have a look at the radar when we come back. Look right here, you can see the dark clouds and the rain.
Yeah, this is downtown Biloxi, and storms are really packing a punch this afternoon. The most intense storms now over central Harrison County, making their way towards the coast and now moving towards Hancock County. Strong winds, lots of lightning, and some very heavy rain. Of course, a cool down with these storms as well.
We will continue following these stories on WLOX CBS.